Hey everybody, it's Adam Tracy. Haven't spoken to you all in a while. Rumors of my demise have been greatly exaggerated and all that. But today I wanted to talk about bonding curves, right? Which are popular in three distinct areas. And really, a bonding curve is a smart contract that acts as a linear pricing mechanism, which increases or decreases supply based on different price fluctuations, right? So if you think about it in the context of, let's say, a vending machine, right? Where, let's say, you want to buy a Coke, it's $1. Well, then the next guy comes in, wants to buy a Coke. Well, now it's 105. And then the next guy, 110, right? And that's sort of the concept. And again, it's all smart contract driven. And it's great in three contexts. One, and used in three contexts. One is an IDO, and to a lesser extent, non-IDO token sales, where you have a sale in the context and people are purchasing and the price is steadily increasing, and people can also sell back to the smart contract. And the beauty of the bonding curve in the context of the IDO is one, price discovery, right? Because you have a direct correlation between the price and the actual scarcity or available token, right? With as the scarcity, more people purchase, price increases, vice versa. Two, it is advantageous to early adopters, like early entrants, right? People who get in earlier get, the lower price, but people who are maybe late to the party aren't locked out, right? There's still the availability for them to get in. And three, it's a very liquid, adds liquidity, because instead of being like an order matching, almost like an exchange, you're just trading with the smart contract itself. You go in, you purchase, it mints the token and sells to you. If you want to sell back to the smart contract, it does so. It decreases supply and gives the next person a slightly lower price to purchase along that bonding curve. So that's the use within the context of the IDO. Now you move to NFT drops, right? Where in obviously NFTs, it's like, can you really make money if they're falling out of favor, all that kind of stuff. But the reality is, if you treat an NFT like a scarce, almost like work of art or scarce piece of content, you can see how a bonding curve is of great value, because each successive purchase drives the price up while also limiting the available number of NFTs available, right? Increasing scarcity. And that scarcity obviously drives price increases, because like traditional artwork or collectibles or whatever the case may be, it's all driven by available supply. If there's 1,000,000 of one thing versus 100 of another, obviously, right, the item or the collectible, whatever it is that has a max supply of 100 is going to be more valuable, all things being equal. So that's the beauty of it. And again, you also have that liquidity mechanism where I can sell my NFT back to the smart contract, right? And I don't have to find a buyer, okay? And then finally, IDOs, I see it a lot and have worked on implementation of these things, is in the context of a DAO, right? Where you have this governance token. And in this context, the bonding curve acts as almost like the de facto treasury for that DAO entity, right? And you can obtain your governance token by purchasing it from the bonding curve, the proceeds of which go to the treasury, which obviously funds the DAO, and it aligns the interest between like what the DAO's mission is and the token holder, right? At the same time, governance tokens tend to be very illiquid, right? Because for various factors. One, because most governance tokens are designed not for liquidity, not for profit, but literally as a mechanism by which people can become involved and help make decisions, governing the operation of the DAO. But because you're not order matching, you're just simply dealing with a smart contract. If you want to liquidate and remove yourself from the DAO, you can simply sell those governance tokens back to the smart contract. So those are the three, main areas for bonding curves. And, I'm really focusing on like a limited or linear bonding curve, concept. And there's different constructs and different, types of bonding curves, which I'll get into in a secondary video. But this is the basic use for it, right? And I've seen a lot of success, especially in like the IDO context, where you set like the pre-sale on a bonding curve and then go into the full IDO afterward. And it's really a great mechanism to not only like obtain capital, but as I've said before, the hardest money to raise is typically like that first, $50, $100, $250,000, right? Because nobody wants to get in first and then nobody follows them and then their money's dead, right? Well, that bonding curve is a great inducement for various reasons, price discovery and the liquidity function, to bring people in early, and then it makes the IDO much more successful because you're not starting from zero. You have a successful pre-sale under your belt, which obviously helps. So that's Bonding Curves 101. Make sure you smash that follow button. Definitely hit me up, adamtracy.io. And I'll talk to you next time. Cheers.